A play fake. Young goes deep middle. He's got Jerry Rice. Touchdown 49ers!
Welcome to another edition of the 49ers Family Podcast, where three generations of 49ers fans break down the game each week and hear from Grandpa Mike as he shares personal experiences since he became a fan in 1949. My name is Josh, and I'm here with my dad, Jared, and my grandpa, Mike, and we are a 49ers family. Okay, let's get rolling. NFC West champs. It feels good. What did Jimmy say? Jimmy say it feels great, baby. It does feel great. I love that George Kittle wrote with a Sharpie on his shirt in the locker room, "Feels great, baby," on it. That was such a classic line by Jimmy G. But hey, here we are. Take down the Seattle Seahawks on a short week in Seattle. Really, the Niners controlled it from start to finish. Feeling really, really good. And that marks 7 straight wins for the 49ers. Can't really ask for more. How we doing, Grandpa? How we doing, Dad?
Doing great.
We're doing good.
Awesome.
Yeah, a very satisfying win. But as that before the game, I always analyze a lot of things, and going into Seattle, for the past 11 years, Seattle it's probably been our most important game on the schedule. The 2 games we play against them, they've been very good. They've won 17 of the 22. And we were starting an injured rookie quarterback playing his first game on the road. It was a Thursday night game, so it was a short week. And then we had to travel on the road. And it was in front of this hostile, loud group of fans. It's the loudest stadium in the NFL. And it's difficult to play there. So it was a real challenge for Brock Purdy. Because it's so loud, you have to use silent counts and hand signals, and you can't audibilize, and nobody's going to hear you. It's the false start capital of the world, and they played very, very well. We were playing, of course, without Debo, but I'd like to tonight just spend a couple of minutes talking about some of the key ingredients, the key individuals, some of the players who stood out. And of course, we'll start with Brock Purdy. And I was trying to think of one word that would describe him. I mean, there's many, but so the word I came up with was composed. Nothing bothers this guy. And even Kyle Shanahan said, he's the most mature and poised rookie quarterback I've ever seen. He plays like a 30-year-old veteran. He's only the 3rd quarterback to win in Seattle. 3rd rookie quarterback. And then he threw this beautiful touchdown pass to Kittle. Actually, there were 2 beautiful ones. The double fake, which I just loved. Mm-hmm. And he also, the 54-yard touchdown pass Kittle was his 4th read. Now, Jimmy doesn't normally get to the 4th read. I don't mean to criticize him, but so he's showing some things that are just wonderful to watch. He scrambled for a first down by extending the ball past the chains and slid in bounds to keep the clock running. It was late in the game. He's just smart. And so his quarterback rating after 2 starts is 115.4. Now, there's only 2 quarterbacks in the history of the NFL that have had a quarterback rating of 115 in their first 2 starts. And the other one was Aaron Rodgers. But as I think this through, the league is 102 years old. And there's all these teams and all these quarterbacks, and only 2 have had this rating. So he's a special guy. And we're, lucky to have him. Christian McCaffrey ran for 108 yards and a touchdown, and he's now just 73 yards short of 1,000. And then we have Jordan Mason. He's the undrafted rookie from Georgia Tech, and he iced the game with a 56-yard run right near the end. So, I mean, we really had a good draft last year. And then there's Pro Bowl tight end George Kittle. He had 4 catches for 93 yards and 2 touchdowns. And he just, when we have a primetime game, he's always part of it. He kind of likes the spotlight. He's a character. The Niners hit Geno Smith 8 times, sacked him 3. They shut off the running game again, and Dre Greenlaw essentially won the game when he forced the fumble at the end of the first half. It was a tight game until then, and then we went ahead 14-3. And finally, I've got to give some love to our punter. Nobody ever talks about the punter, certainly, or the kicker, but mainly the punter. And we have a real weapon in Mitch Wisnowski. He's having a terrific season. For every 4 punts, only 1 is returned. I mean, 75% of the time, there's no return. We could actually start calling him the man of no return. Was that a song? And then half the time he pins the opponent inside the 20, and he kicks always out of bounds, so he pins the guy to the sideline. He's just a real weapon. So we have a lot of things to be proud of, and now we're NFC West champions. So go Niners. A lot of satisfaction.
Oh yeah, baby. Dad, I know you were stoked too. Let me hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I was just super excited to get out of Seattle with a win. It wasn't real pretty. I mean, we offensively could have moved the ball a little bit more at times, but we got out of there with a win, and Purdy stayed composed. I love that word for him. He's consistent, unshaken. He doesn't flinch. He got the job done. He distributed the ball, I think, to 6 different receivers as usual. Put up 217 yards, was 17 of 26, like Grandpa said. So he was the general out there. He did his job, did it great. Our defense was trouble for Geno Smith, put a lot of pressure on him. I think we had 3 sacks. Funga, Bosa, and Ebicom, I think, were the 3 sacks. And a lot of pressures on him. So defensively, we were putting a lot of pressure on him. Our linebackers, Warner and Greenlaw, played great. Greenlaw he had a forced fumble, which is beautiful, and 2 pass deflections, could have been an interception, one of them.
Yeah.
And then so our linebacking crew and our DBs did real good. Javarius Ward locked down DK Metcalf. DK Metcalf had, I think, a total of 55 yards for the game. I guess Javarius Ward, he got hurt at one point, and so I think they had some other guy covering him. But Ward did great. Lenore had 10 tackles, 9 solo tackles. They led the team in tackles. I mean, our DBs tackle really, really well. Jimmy Ward's a great tackler. I mean, he's rated very high for not missing. So our DBs showed up. Then we had our linebackers showed up, and then our defensive line is putting pressure on there. So just all around, it did tremendous. We didn't turn over the ball, 0 turnovers. We had a takeaway. That was huge. So those things are kind of what stood out to me. I guess those are the main things. Just one thought. I was reading and listening to some different things. on Brock Purdy. And that's all I can find is everybody wants to talk about Brock Purdy, which I love the guy. But I just want to not get too excited and just kind of enjoy the show. But his strength at the combine and his strength in his numbers, he has a secret weapon. Do you guys know what that is?
His brain.
Okay, good. He's the professor, and I always swear by the professor of any team needs to be the quarterback, and he's gonna be a successful quarterback. The athlete on the team, if he's the best athlete on the team and he's quarterback, I think you see short-term success, but I question long-term success. So I love his brain, his smarts, but his secret weapon on all the measurables at the combine is his 10-yard time, 10-yard sprint, essentially. Yeah, he's in the 95th percentile in NFL, like people that were drafted or in the combine, 95% faster than 95 out of 100 guys, if you will. All the other, so it creates like a web, if you will, whether it's the 40-yard time, hand size, your height, how far you can jump, but his 10-yard sprint is off the charts, essentially. And that 10 yards, that makes him a very valuable mobile weapon. And that acceleration, he was 45% in the percentile in the 40 and 26% for his hand size. Everything else, he was near zero. I mean, literally. I mean, he's 7% in his height. At 6 foot, he's in the 7% percentile. But his secret weapon is his burst, his quick feet in a pocket. 1.55 seconds. Dre Greenlaw commented once he knew that. There was a reporter asking him, like, your 10-yard sprint is a 1.55, and Greenlaw's jaw dropped. I mean, he doesn't run a 1.55, and most of the team doesn't run a 10-yard sprint that fast. But that's an advantage that Brock Purdy has. So I thought I'd throw that out there. That was kind of a new thing. Another thing I uncovered this week was, I didn't really realize it, but Nick Bosa was commenting on the game, and or no, I think it was Kittle. Kittle was, and he was commenting on Purdy and himself and just all the different things. And I guess Brock Purdy and a couple other guys made some nice Christmas cards for the rest of the team. I don't know if you're aware of that, but anyhow, the reporters were asking him about like how hard the team tries and just how everybody is so focused on a Super Bowl and their effort. And Kittle was saying everybody's just 110%. And then he made a comment. He says, every game we give it everything we can. And we're basically, every game we're auditioning for 31 other football teams, through tape and film that other teams watch. I never thought about that, but every player is looking for their next dollar and their next opportunity. And the league sees them play at every level, at every position, every week, potentially, and are watching film. So I thought that was just kind of, I never really thought that, I thought they were, just really focused on, well, they are focused on their team, but they're also giving their best effort at all times, because ultimately those little things that they're doing that nobody's noticing, other teams are. When they need a new safety or a new cornerback or linebacker or defensive tackle, all those little things, that could be their next job, and that could make them their, next pot of gold, if you will. So some interesting things.
I love it. No, I think that's a very good thing to point out. As you're talking, I pulled up his draft prospect profile, and I mean, who knows what's going to come of this guy? And I would love, as much as I would love to get into the whole, what's next year's QB room going to look like, and we broke that down a little bit last week of Trey versus Brock Purdy versus maybe Tom Brady. Who knows what's going to happen with Jimmy G? I'm not going to rule anything out, but I would think that he's gone. But it is just crazy to think, Brock Purdy has showed and really impressed a lot of people with his body of work. You look at his draft profile, he's rated as an F, and literally as a priority undrafted free agent, which is the lowest it goes, besides no grade. Above him is candidate for bottom of roster or practice squad. And this guy is just proving everybody wrong. And some of the weaknesses that they kind of point out is pocket setup, lacks quickness, shies away from tight window throws. Confidence and consistency have been issues. There's always this thing about a college QB versus an NFL QB. When you're in college, you're still taking classes. It's a part-time job. You're technically not supposed to practice more than 20 hours a week. But you're kind of demanded to act like and perform like a pro. And sometimes guys get into the league and they're able to really pour their heart and soul into the playbook, into their bodies, into their skills and craft, and they literally become better football players than what they're originally drafted to be. And I think Brock Purdy is an example of this. He has intangibles, as we said, and I think him being in the room with Kyle Shanahan in a system that is friendly to him has just paid already dividends. He looks, in my personal opinion, against the teams that he's played against Miami, against Tampa Bay, and now against Seattle, he looks more comfortable and confident and better in the offense than Jimmy G does. He really does. He executes Kyle Shanahan's offense. He had one throw that should have been picked, but it wasn't. Honestly, Jimmy G makes one throw at least a game that you're like, what the heck was that? But I'm totally on the Brock Purdy train. I can't wait to see what he does really for the rest of the season. Hopefully takes it to a Super Bowl. Keeping my expectations, obviously in check because he is a rookie. But it's just so impressive. Honestly, I don't think we would talk about him this much in this way if we weren't impressed the way that we are.
Yeah, I feel like at times, it's brand new. It's only 3 weeks old. Like we're watching a Hollywood movie, and they could actually make a movie out of this script. But
Right.
If he takes us to the Super Bowl and wins, can you imagine? Here's this guy that was picked last in this draft, 262nd, and he becomes a star. It's like The Natural.
It's crazy.
So, anyway, it's fun. It's exciting. This has been a great year for the Niners. I'm sure, there's people already talking about 15 years from now, we're going to say, do you remember the team in 22?
Seriously.
So we get to live it right now. And it's really been fun. I like winning.
Of course.
Yeah, and just one last thing, his passing efficiency has been very high. Again, it's only been 3 games, but I guess in the past 2 years, his passing efficiency ranks number 3 behind Mahomes and Garoppolo and then Brock Purdy. So it's kind of a crazy stat. It's 3 games, but it's where you want to be if you've played 3 games. That's it's very exciting.
Yeah. And last thing, and I'd like to get it, we need to get moving on. But the eye test, I watch football and I watch these QBs, Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, Davis Mills, these young quarterbacks that get drafted in the first, second, third round. Jack Wilson was taken second. Even Trevor Lawrence, he is starting to come on really in the last few games. But just the eye test in those guys, it's just different watching them versus Brock Purdy. They look like they are lost. They look like they are trying so hard and just can't do it. The 50% completion rate, an errant throw here, interception there, and their team has to kind of like pull them along as they catch up to the game, the speed of the NFL. Brock just hasn't looked like that. So props to him. Props to Shanahan. props to the O-line, props to CMC for taking some pressure off of him with the run game and the passes out into the flats, the checkdowns. But man, it's a perfect storm. It's a perfect combination for Brock Purdy to succeed.
Yeah, it's fun. This is really a lot of fun.
That's the perfect system, and he's a perfect complement for Shanahan style offense. I mean, really, and his mobility and able to pass on the run, that are as he's rolling out, and his movement, and he's proven he can do that, and it is just it complements everything Shanahan's been trying to build. Shanahan doesn't run a Brady style offense, so it's a different approach to the game.
Yep. All right. Let's talk kind of game balls. We spent a lot of time there on Purdy. Grandpa, you mentioned a couple other ones, it's kind of going down the box score, kind of what stood out. I think a big part of the reason why we won this game was Christian McCaffrey. That guy, Purdy was hurt. Did he show it? No, he really didn't. I forgot that he was. He started 11 for 11. But McCaffrey, once again, took a lot of the pressure off. He was gashing their defense, and was really a problem for them. They always had to account for him. He was the reason why Kittle scored that touchdown, because they were so heavily thinking, okay, where's Christian? There he is. All right, whoa. And I love the kind of like the delayed release off the line from Kittle. That was just perfect. Hollywood, baby. And which Grandpa, let's take a little time out here. That play I learned was from Bill Walsh, and that they actually dug up that play from the Bill Walsh era, and even had a clip of of Steve Young running that play, throwing it to, I feel like it was maybe Brent Jones, for a touchdown, which was just so cool.
Yeah, it was
40 years later.
It was actually John Frank.
There you go.
86. Yeah, it's a pretty play. I thought that that Brock actually faked better than Steve Young and Joe Montana. I mean, they've run this play for years, not very often, but it's really a great play. You fake left, you fake right. I mean, it pulls the defense.
Oh yeah.
The middle of the field, there's Kittle all by himself. Bingo. So yeah, that was really fun. That was pretty. Yeah.
It was beautiful. And I was like, and that's the thing, I'll admit, I'm still a youngster, and I was like, whoa, like that was a really cool play design, like go Kyle. And then it came out later that play's been around for a long time. Even, it still gets used in college, but the Seahawks, and once again, I think it was built on the foundation that McCaffrey was pulling the defense, that there was literally a gravitational pull to him, and so it was the perfect timing for that play. Opened up the middle of the field, boom, touchdown.
Well, as I've said all along, when we got Christian McCaffrey on October 21st, we became elite.
Yep.
We were a very good team. Now we're an elite team. Yep. And I mean, that's a phenomenal trade. I don't care what we gave up for him.
I know.
Oh, it's worth every bit of it. Yeah. That play is called Hollywood. That's what they call it. And yeah, it was beautiful. And Purdy also is known for his very good hand strength, and he's good at pump fakes. He's got a good hand size for pump fakes. So he was able to, to do that and successfully. And it looked so pretty and so effortless. That play was beautiful, and we got 7 points for that.
Mm-hmm.
So that was awesome.
And then the other thing I wanted to point out, Dad, you talked about pressures and pressuring the quarterback. The Niners had 27 pressures on Geno Smith compared to 4 that the Seahawks were able to pressure Brock Purdy. 27-4. That's the most lopsided pressures statistic I might have ever seen.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was only 61 total plays that they had, and 24, almost half were pressures. That's again just speaks volumes for our defense and defensive line. Yeah, that was awesome.
Yep.
It's awesome.
And then I guess the last thing that I feel like we have to mention on this Seahawks game is Jordan Mason. There's a lot of talk after the game about him being the closer, the finisher, the Mariano Rivera, whatever your favorite closer was, is. But as we kind of talked about that, and honestly, I expected to see him earlier in this game, but we talked about it may be that Kyle Shanahan likes keeping the ball in Christian's hands and Christian having that gravitational pull. But then you bring in this 224-pound bruiser in Jordan Mason at the end of the game. It's cold. These guys don't want to tackle. Trent Williams said those guys were taking bad angles at Jordan Mason because they inherently probably didn't want to take a blow. And what did he do? Yeah, they were tired. 4 plays, and he took that one almost to the house. I wanted him to get it, but maybe next time. But I love that, and I think we're going to see more and more of that, and especially as we get, we're in the middle of December, actually in the third part of December, but especially getting into the playoffs, giving him the ball in those situations is going to make him a better player, make him more confident in himself, and will also create its own effect on defenses of, okay, here's that one running back, here we go, and maybe they think we're going to run, and we actually start passing, because right now he's pretty much coming in and we're running the ball. It's kind of telegraphed.
Yeah.
But I love to see him in. I love the Jordan Mason story.
Yeah. So Shanahan, I mean, one of the most important elements to him is do not turn the ball over. And I think his trust is in McCaffrey, which it should be. He's, done it for years. And Jordan Mason, he doesn't know, I mean, what might happen. So don't turn the ball over is vital. And during this 7-game winning streak, we've hardly turned the ball over at all. We've gone from, what was it, about -2 in takeaways, and we're now +7.
Right.
So, you get the ball 11 times during a game. You run about 11 series, and if you get it another time or two, the opponent doesn't, their offense stops and yours continues. So they're in the pros, the games are always close. So turnovers are huge. And that's Shanahan doesn't, I think it's a trust issue, and he may be very secure, but we're learning that.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. I was just trying to look up if Jordan Mason ever fumbled in college, because he comes off as a guy that doesn't fumble much, just the way that his running style. But we'll see. I couldn't pull it up.
Yeah.
I couldn't find it fast enough.
Georgia Tech, the Rambling Wreck from Georgia Tech.
Oh yeah, love it. Any other kind of final thoughts from the Seahawks game?
We went into
Go ahead.
I was going to say we went into Seattle without Debo, and we played a wonderful game relatively. And we still have Mitchell and Debo hurt, 2 offensive weapons down 2, and we still have more playmakers. That's pretty amazing. And we didn't skip a beat. That's pretty very, very impressive. And Ayuk played very well too, had a couple of big catches, and his blocking, his involvement in every play is fun to watch too. So, but yeah, just a well-rounded game. And Christian McCaffrey, I call him the machine.
Yep.
He's like, put a quarter in him and that guy goes, and he's always ready.
He's a yardage machine, a first down maker.
Yeah.
I mean, really changed us.
The machine.
I got some personal satisfaction out of Seattle losing. They've kind of been a nemesis. I mean, not kind of, they have been a nemesis. I mean, you think back to Michael Crabtree and, Richard Sherman yelling at each other and losing to them in the playoffs, the NFC Championship game. So it was satisfying to win the NFC West in Seattle in front of their fans and against their team. I'd rather do it at home, but you know, if it was somewhere else, that was a lot of satisfaction. So
For sure.
And
For sure.
against Pete Carroll, he was losing his mind, losing against us. So it was satisfying because Pete Carroll has been at the helm of all of those.
Right.
Those very.
He's always talking to the referees. He's just complaining. He drives me nuts. Like, stop complaining.
I know.
Play the game.
Last thing that I did want to point out was, yes, Charvarius Ward had a great game, really locked down DK Metcalf.
Right.
He went out with a concussion. They cleared him to come back. Kyle Shanahan didn't feel good about it, kept him out, after which he then did enter the concussion protocol. It looks like with the 10 days in between games, we should be good for Saturday. But something to watch there. And besides that, came away relatively healthy out of the game. Nothing huge. A lot of our huge ones like Jimmy and Debo and Elijah Mitchell. A couple of guys got banged up on the D line, so they're kind of managing that.
Right.
But all in all, a pretty good game, and then the extra days of rest should definitely help us in between these two games.
Absolutely.
For sure. And Debo's getting better slowly, and he'll be back. And it's gonna be fun.
Yeah,
he'll be back soon.
Yeah.
If this was the playoffs, he would play on Sunday.
Okay. Yeah, he was on the sideline or on the side of the practice field, running and doing exercises today.
Wow,
practice.
That's awesome.
So yeah, that is a very, very encouraging sign. I think they're going to take their time getting him back just to make sure he's fully healthy and stuff. But I agree, Grant. But if this was the playoffs, he would most likely play.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, let's move on and talk about Commanders. So the Commanders are coming to town across the country. Washington's coming in at 7-5-1. This game is on Saturday, Christmas Eve. Kickoff is at 1:05 p.m. Pacific. Beautiful weather right now. Looks like it's going to be about 64 degrees. Just great weather. Throw on a sweatshirt or your favorite Niners jacket and head to the game. Right now, the Niners are favored by 7.5 points, with the line being 39.5. This one, the Niners hold the all-time series record with 21 wins, 12 losses, and 1 tie game. With the whole thing, and we can maybe talk about it right now or later, with now that the Niners have clinched the NFC West, they obviously clinched a spot in the playoffs. It just matters now what their seed is going to be. Currently, the Niners sit at the number 3 seed with a 10-4 record. Minnesota had their crazy comeback win against the terrible Colts to, of course, stay with only 3 losses and that 2 seed. But they end the season playing the Bears, the Packers, and one more team that I forget who they are. And the Niners, of course, have our last 3 games against the Commanders, the Raiders, and the Cardinals. So the Niners are in the playoffs. It just honestly, it's a matter of, are they going to be the 2 seed or the 3 seed? And Grant, I'll put you on the spot here. I know the answer, but what's the difference? I mean, just 1 seed. What's the difference between the 2 seed and the 3 seed?
Well, the 3 seed, you're guaranteed 1 home game. The 2 seed, we would be guaranteed 2 home games. And then if Philly lost, we would play the championship game at home as well. But I want them to play hard and go for the 2 seed. It's playing at home is just different. You're better off in every way, including with official calls. So, yeah, the 2 seed carries a lot of weight. It's an extra home game.
Yeah, and I'll point out, and I think I might have mentioned it last week, but the Cowboys, the NFC East right now is loaded, including the Commanders. Commanders are a good 7-5-1 team because the NFC East is a tough division this year, and most likely the Cowboys will be that 5 seed, and would have to go through the Eagles to get to us. So if we get the 3 seed, we might have to face them before facing the Eagles. So it's just a tough sledging road. That home field advantage is huge, especially with the rookie quarterback, especially with the defense that we have. We want it to be quiet for the quarterback. We want it to be crazy for our defense. So there's a lot of incentives for us to move into that number 2 seed. We're probably not going to get the number 1 unless the Eagles lose every single game and we win every single one and we somehow get there. And we're also not going to be the number 4 seed. So it's really a matter of 2 versus 3.
Right. Yeah, that's when you look back and probably shouldn't this, but those losses to Chicago, Atlanta, to have another win or 2 in games we should have won, but it is what it is. Yeah, I hope I think Shanahan is going to go for, and not rest people is what I'm saying, and go for the wins.
I think the Vikings play the Giants, or Packers, then Bears. But the Giants, that might be a tough game for them. I don't know, that matchup, for whatever reason. I think the Giants could play them pretty straight up. So
and all three of those, yeah.
Where are those Minnesota games? At Chicago, at Green Bay, at New York?
No, it's in New York, or it's in Minnesota for the Giants game.
But then it's in Green Bay at Lambeau against the Packers, and then the Bears, I believe, is at home, right?
I think so. Let's see, Vikings. No, it's at the Bears.
Oh, really? Oh, I thought they already played at the Bears. Okay.
It's at what?
It's at Midway.
Okay.
For Soldier Field. Yeah, it's in Soldier Field, the Bears.
Okay. Well, we'll see what happens, but we just take care of business.
Yeah, they finished 2 on the road. So yeah, we take care of business, and I think things will come our way. So yeah, it's
for sure.
Very exciting.
All right, so let's break down this Commanders team, get to know them a little bit. Before I kind of go over their kind of league stats, once again, with 14 games down, to see kind of these like league leaders and where the teams fall isn't 100% applicable, just based on, rosters change week by week. Teams are different week 1 versus week 15 and now 16. So and D'Amico Ryans, our fearless defensive coordinator, said that he really respects Washington's run game, that they are the best run attack that we have seen in a while. As we've mentioned in the last few weeks, once again, Miami, Tampa Bay, and even the Seahawks totally abandoned the run. They said, we're not going to run. We're not going anywhere. We are going to pass the ball, and passed it 50 times. I think Geno Smith threw 44 or something. So this one, I think we're going to see a different test for our defense and see, can we stay physical through 4 quarters, especially in our run defense. I think that's going to be interesting. But as far as kind of what to expect from Washington and how they compare to the league, they're 25th in points scored with 19 a game. They're 10th in the league with points allowed, allowing 20 points a game. They are middle of the pack in takeaways. They are not known for passing the ball. They're 25th in the league with 207 passing yards a game. They're 14th in the league with 124 yards rushing per game. But that's a more recent statistic because they started the season without Brian Robinson. And then as far as defense goes, passing and rushing, they're a top 10 defense. They're on the latter half of that, ranking 8th and 9th in passing and rushing yards allowed. So A decent, once again, a decent 7-5-1 team that should not be overlooked.
Correct. Yeah, they have this back, Brian Robinson from Alabama, and he set a record he's a rookie. He gained 204 yards in Alabama's bowl game. He's a very hard runner. He just, he's tough. His number 8, where's number 8? And he has 652 yards so far this year. But he got shot.
He did, in the leg.
Yeah. So, but he's a tough back. And Washington also has an outstanding defensive line. And Chase Young may come back and play this week. If he does play, it will probably be sporadic, but he tore his Achilles a year ago. And he's the guy that followed Nick Bosa at Ohio State. And some people at the time said he's better than Nick Bosa. Everybody has an opinion, but he's very good. And so they have Chase Young and Allen and Payne and Sweat, I guess it is, the other guy. I mean, they're ferocious pass rush, and they're really that's the strength of their team, is their D line.
For sure. Yeah. And as far as the other side of the ball, strengths, there we mentioned Brian Robinson, and just for clarification, he got shot in his leg before the season. He missed about 3-4 games, I believe, and then has played since. The other stars on the offense are Terry McLaurin, stud wide receiver, already has over 1,000 yards receiving on the year. Definitely going to be their wide receiver 1. And assuming Charvarius Ward will be back, will most likely be sticking to him like Rice. And then their quarterback, they started the year with Carson Wentz. And he went down, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think he went down with injury. So Tyler Heineke came in, and even though Carson Wentz is now back, he's back, not injured, they're still rolling with Tyler Heineke. Yeah,
and their figures, their numbers are almost identical. Heineke has 10 touchdown passes and 5 interceptions, and his rating is 87.7. And Carson Wentz, who played in about 6 games, he has the same amount of touchdown passes, 1 more interception with 6, and his rating is 84. So they're kind of even. And Heineke is just a real spirited guy from Old Dominion who plays hard. I don't know that he has all the talent in the world, but he's just a fighter.
Yep.
Yeah. So this will be a tough game. When the schedule came out in April, I looked at it and I thought, oh, Washington, well, that'll be a win. And now it's going to be a tough game. They've played very well.
Yeah, they have. Definitely not to be overlooked.
Yeah.
Very good. Any other points that we want to make about the Commanders? I mean, we don't see them very often. Once again, coming from the NFC East, though, they aren't in a tough division. And
their place kicker is going to the Pro Bowl. So he's, one of the best kickers in the league, Joey Sly. So we always got to watch out for the field goal guy, and they have a good one. So
I was, once again, it's mini time out here, I was disappointed to see Robbie Gould miss that field goal that would have iced the game against the Seahawks. That was one that I totally assumed that he would make. Of course, they have the dumb commentators curse that they throw up on there that there's a 67% chance he makes that thing. If they would not have shown that, I would assume that he would make that 90% of the time. And then what did he do? Kicks it to the right, and the Seahawks get the ball. I was like, are you kidding me?
I love Robbie Gold. We're lucky to have him. He wanted to go back to Chicago. That's where he lives.
Yep.
That's where his family is. And John Lynch a couple of years ago said no.
Yeah.
Yeah, he blocked it.
Yeah.
And so we've got a kicker coming back to us who doesn't want to be there.
Yeah.
And he's changed his attitude now, and he's a good guy, and he's really a good kicker. He's, his field goal percentage is like 87%, and he's climbing the ladders and points scored in the NFL because he's been around a long time. But yeah, I really like Robbie Gold.
Yeah, I do too. Shanahan said that he's the best kicker that he's ever had, and usually he's anxious when they're sending out the field goal team, and he almost kind of assumes that they're going to miss. But with Gold, it's his first kicker that he assumes they're going to make it when they send him out there. So that's great.
Yeah.
But yeah, should be a good game. Should be a good game. Once again, Niners are favored by 7.5 points. The line is 39.5. So a somewhat low scoring game predicted. Whenever I see lower than 40 points, I was like, oh, okay. Vegas thinks that the game isn't going to be super high scoring. But want to get you guys' scores predictions. Grandpa, you're up first.
Let's see. I'm gonna say the Niners 31 to 17. 31 to 17.
I like it. So you're taking the over. I will also take the over. And mine are pretty close to yours too. I guess I was going to say 28 to 17. So that 11-point margin, a little bit more than the 7.5 that they are that's out there right now. But I think, my keys to the game would be, once again, take the pressure off Brock Purdy, run the system. That D line is going to be going after him. So get the ball out quick. And Christian McCaffrey, once again, is going to be a big difference maker in this game. Yeah.
All right. I think we're going to score in the 30s. I want to say 33-15.
Whoa.
I might be 35. I think Taylor Heineke is going to be running for his life the whole game. I mean, the defense for the Giants that just beat them, I guess, right? Just on, this last weekend, they're ranked number 26 in the league. They sacked them 3 times.
Whoa.
Heineke was crouching down, hiding a lot when I was watching the game. I mean, Heineke was running for his life, and I'm thinking they haven't even played the Niners, So I really think they're gonna struggle putting the points up on the board. And I think we're gonna figure out how to beat that defense, and we're gonna put some good points up. So I'm really thinking we're gonna be in the 30s, and they're not gonna score over 15 points.
That would be awesome. That would be a solid victory, and then we can just roll into the New Year's Day game against the Raiders and then finish it off against the Cardinals. That would be just awesome to see the Niners go 10-0 on the back half of the schedule. I guess 9-0 plus the Rams game. I just think back to when the Niners beat the Rams, that game right before the bye week. I remember seeing the video of Fred Warner breaking down the locker room after the game, saying, great win, guys, that we needed that one. That brought them, remember, to 4-4 on the year. And they had the bye week. They knew they were going to get some people back. And he said, now it's time to go on a run. And they all held their fists up. And they all looked at each other. Yep, it's time to go on a run. And man, have they done that? It's been so fun to watch. 7 games in a row, and hopefully a few more, and even more into the playoffs. Right on.
Can't wait.
Can't freaking wait. Last but not least, don't really have a story from Grandpa Mike today, but we did, with the news coming out today about the Pro Bowl. the Pro Bowl games, not necessarily the Pro Bowl as we've always kind of pictured it, because they're changing it up a little bit. Want to just mention that a little bit. The Pro Bowl voting is determined by a third is attributed to the fans, the fan votes, a third to players, and a third to coaches. Cool thing about this year, and it just shows kind of the year that we're having, the Niners fans had the most votes amongst any other team, which I think is just awesome. And then for those that aren't familiar, and honestly, including myself until I looked this up. So when they say the Pro Bowl games, essentially what it's going to be is instead of a tackle football game where more recently we haven't seen many tackles and it's very lazy, not competitive. It used to not be like that, but now in this day and age of kind of, you gotta look out for yourself and not get hurt, etc. It's kind of a joke. So it's actually now going to be a flag football game. The AFC is going to be coached by Peyton Manning, and Eli Manning is going to coach the NFC, which I think is kind of funny. They're of course going to try and kind of play that up. And then it also kind of include live skill competitions like the Gridiron Gauntlet, a speed competition called Move the Chains, and then 2 fan selected winners from Thursday's skills competition will compete for the title of Best Catch. So they're trying to liven it up a little bit, make it more kind of fan friendly and entertaining, honestly. Whatever. A lot of people could care less what actually happens at the games. It's more about, and even including a lot of incentives in their contracts of who makes the Pro Bowl. And that list of players that came out today, the Niners, correct me if I'm wrong, Grandpa, but I think they had the most Pro Bowlers, or maybe tied for the most Pro Bowlers.
No. We have 6, and there's teams. Philly has 8.
Oh, okay.
We don't have the most. It changes. A lot of these guys won't go to the game, and the alternates go. But
gotcha.
we have 6.
Tell us who we have, Grandpa. Yep.
Pardon?
Tell us who the 6 are.
Oh, okay. So we have 3 on offense and 3 on defense. And so we have Kittle, Trent Williams, and Juice, our fullback, our 3 offensive players, and our 3 defensive players are Fred Warner, and I love this one, Hufanga.
Yeah.
He's made the Pro Bowl in his 2nd year at a USC, and he's been just all over the place. He's missed some coverages, but he's been really good, and he has made the Pro Bowl. So that's good. And let's see, so we have Warner, Hufanga, and Nick Bosa, of course. So 3 on offense, 3 on defense.
Yeah. And then as far as alternates go, it's also important to make the alternates. We actually have 7 alternates. Christian McCaffrey didn't make the Pro Bowl. Might be the biggest Pro Bowl snub in history. That's obviously a biased response, but can't believe he didn't make the actual Pro Bowl roster. We'll probably fill in as an alternate. We'll see. But others are Jake Brendel, Robbie Gould, Ray McLeod, Deebo Samuel, Charvarius Ward, and Mitch Wishnowsky. Also, or in addition to the surprise about Christian McCaffrey, everybody is freaking out that Dre Greenlaw is not even an alternate.
Yeah.
Because with the point being, and this kind of got passed around Twitter today, that the highest graded linebackers by PFF this year are number 1, Bobby Wagner, number 2, Dre Greenlaw. Like, he is amongst the second highest graded linebacker in the league right now. Fred Warner is actually number 4. So we have 2 of the 4 highest graded linebackers per the player efficiencies, but didn't even make it as an alternate. That is just robbery.
That is bad. That is bad. Sometimes you live in the shadows. I mean, some of these guys, and I haven't looked at the whole list, they've been good for a number of years, and people see their name on a ballot and they vote for them when their skills have diminished. But yeah, the fact that Christian McCaffrey isn't going, the running backs are Barkley of the Giants, Pollard of the Cowboys, and Sanders of the Eagles. So that's who got more votes than Christian.
Wow. It's just so surprising. But what you gonna do?
Yeah, it's a fairly fair system. I mean, it's been different over the years, but fans get a third of the vote, and the coaches get a third, and the players get a third. I mean, that's pretty fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to believe. Christian McCaffrey was actually in the lead for the fan vote. So that means that the other guy, I already forget that you just mentioned, that the players and the coaches didn't put Christian McCaffrey up there for some reason. So
Barkley, Pollard, and Sanders are the running backs.
Yeah.
NFC.
Very, very interesting. But anyways, that will do it for another episode of 49ers Family. Really fun one, 7 straight wins, NFC West champs, gotta love it. Another good game against the Commanders coming up on Saturday, Christmas Eve. And with that, and if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see my awesome Christmas sweater that I got at an estate sale for about $2. But with that, want to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas and a happy holidays. Hope you enjoy it with your family and your friends. Until next time, go Niners.
Go Niners.